Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Endurance Racing League Singapore Grand Prix. This is, of course, a marathon of a race, just because of the sheer length of time it takes to do a lap, and the fact that there's more laps, 61 in fact, than races like Monza, for example, which have a much shorter lap time. This recording actually lasted 2.5 hours. Just to give you an idea of how long we're in the lobby. Anyway, this is the pole lap, and it was just a banker in fact, but I decided I needed to set 2 time laps, and the next one I ended up putting in the wall, mainly because I wanted to use the options as much as possible in the race, because they really seemed like the appropriate race time being around 2 seconds a lap quicker, so I was trying to save them as much as possible, and really quite a disappointing session. Yeah, disappointing session for most of the guys involved, because we were practicing in the 38s. I think I was the only one to drop into the 39s in fact. So really lackluster section. I think that's probably due to the pressures of having the walls suck you in, and the corner cutting is easily done here. And that's the wall where I put it in on my second flyer. And a 106 to the second sector is not particularly impressive, to be honest. That's where I lost most of my time already. You should be in the low 1 minute 5s after the second sector to set a 38. So this last sector is pretty tidy, although it's quite lucky not to get corner cutting from there. And we're going to set a 39.9 to go to pole position, and in fact no one manages to beat that. You'll see Hugo there in second position. He's a debutant for this race in Williams, and what a race to start your career in 100% of Singapore with very limited assists. And I hear he's a 13-year-old, so that's a fantastic start. And a 10% chance of rank we see there, so just note that, guys, 10%. Anyhow, a rolling start due to Big Dog disconnecting in qualifying, and off we go. Okay, rain expected to stop in 10 minutes. Oh, he misjudges the braking point in the intermediate condition and go off the track into turn 1, as someone else does on the map as well. We do manage to set a string of fastest laps in order to increase our gap to around 4 seconds by lap 7. And then we get a bit greedy on the curb and almost damage our car on that wall. We'll regather control and stay in front of Crosso, who's moved up to second position in these tricky conditions. And there's a car up ahead, almost perpendicular to the track, and that's Kart Dude, the winner of the German Grand Prix, having trouble early. I'm not sure exactly what happened to him, but he's already a lap down. And there's a 1 second gap back to Crosso, and cutting forward about 10 laps, it's still under 1 second. I haven't been able to get away from Crosso, and Hugo's still with us. Always a little tap there, and the teammates have collided out of first and second. Managed to save my wheels, but my front wing is gone. The Crosso lets us back through. There's a bit of lag involved there, so that's really unfortunate. And not only does he save the penalty of readdressing, but he follows us into the pits as a sort of self-administered penalty for that contact. So that's a gentlemanly gesture from Crosso. And we're going to emerge right near third position, and that's Fox Molds. I don't think my tyres are going to last the rest of the race, mate. Anyhow, we're still in second position. There's a 41 second gap to Hugo, although I'm not entirely sure that's correct, because it says 39 seconds back to Fox, although he's right behind me on track. And now, a lap later, it's down to 38 seconds because we're on much better intermediate tyres, but Hugo destroys his vehicle. An unbelievable way to end your first race. Yeah, really sad for him. He was doing a phenomenal job for a first ever league race. Anyway, that's where he put it in the wall, guys. We take over the lead there. There's a wall that slightly juts out there, so that's really unlucky. Anyhow, Kart Dude on the same lap destroys his vehicle, and strangely for a Singapore Grand Prix, neither of those crashes spawn a safety car, so we are lucky in that respect, as we are in the lead. And you'll see there's a 32-second gap back to Crosso Dog. But something's seriously wrong with that gap, because as we look now it's 4.8 and I haven't pitted, I haven't made any mistakes. And if you look on the map, there's no one there. So the gap is clearly wrong. And you'll also notice that this is lap 41 and we're still on the intermediate tyres. Now it says 1.2 and there's no one within even 10 seconds on the map. But this is my personal favourite, 0.1 behind. Really? Anyhow, we're struggling to maintain grip now because it's time for some dry tyres on lap 41. Remember it said 10% chance of rain? Interesting. Anyhow, we pit for finally some dry tyres, and the choice is go primers to the end from here, or as I choose, options in a double stint. I believe Crosso went a lap earlier onto prime tyres. He should be closing on us, but I think that these option tyres do have quite a bit of pace advantage, maybe 1.52 seconds, and we do indeed set some fastest laps on the way to increasing the gap to Crosso Dog, and then we pit again for the final time for another set of options, and indeed his primes do wear out before the end and he decides to pit for a set of options, and he goes on to set the fastest lap. A challenge which we don't really attempt to beat because I really don't want to risk a front wing or even putting myself out of the race. As we come around the 61st lap, an absolutely gruelling race. Very difficult to maintain concentration, and the hands ached afterwards from operating the pad for so long. But anyway, a really rewarding victory given how long this race took, and the fireworks go off for Force India, but the race is still continuing behind as Fox defends from Crosso. After 61 laps they're so close together, and Cena's in the background but I think he's a lap down. But a laggy collision there, and into the wall goes Fox. But again, Crosso not going to let that be a strike against him, and he lets Fox through. He can retake second position, and that's how the race ends. A huge victory by 1 minute and 45 seconds, the largest of the season. But look at the race time, guys. 1 hour and 53 minutes. Absolutely grueling. Anyhow, guys, there's one more race on F1 2013 before we move to the new game at Suzuka. I've been Jacko. See you for that race.